So, hello and welcome to Time Pass, to yet another edition. We have Karan Johar with us, who's a producer, director, the voice of the industry, guardian of all the bright young things, um, a storyteller on every platform that God has invented, and also the man with the best spout in the business. So, welcome, Karan, to the show, and we're really looking forward to the conversation. How have you been, and how's the lockdown been treating you? Apart from what you're doing to your children, you made
I
them
made them. I
stars.
made them little performers. I don't think they know what's happening, Kaveree. I don't think they know what's hit them entirely. I think at the end of the day, they're just having fun. They're not sure that people are even watching them. I don't think they've comprehended that I'm actually doing this for my own entertainment more than theirs.
And I love the way that you ask some rapid fire questions. Who's your
Yes.
favorite playmate? I mean,
Well, I don't know what else to do. I can't shoot a film, so I'm shooting them. I can't host a talk show, so they've become my only guests. So, I think I'm servicing myself much more than their need for entertainment.
but I have to say that they're really wonderful performers. So I see Student of the Year 2040 will possibly
Oh,
start it.
Kaveri, I will get trolled for nepotism, so let's not go there. Let's not go there. My own children, I just feel afraid if ever they want to walk into the world of entertainment and I have to be that stepping stone. I'm just afraid what will happen to me then.
We'll have Kangana Ranaut 20 years later still accusing you of being the head priest of nepotism in Bollywood.
Well, let's not go there either.
But really, Karan, what I wanted to focus on today was the ability that you have to capture the zeitgeist, and to tell the story of the moment, whether it was with your first film or whether it was with Eh Dil Hai Mushkil, where you had that man-child who refuses to give up and who refuses to understand the idea of consent. You've always managed to sort of capture the mood of the moment. How has that been? Is it that you're just a really good storyteller, or you also keep your ears and eyes open?
I think, Kaveri, I've always been a storyteller more by observation than by research
Yeah.
or by reading or watching other material. It's always been a result of me being very, very close to the environment that surrounds me. Now, that sometimes filmmakers, and I'm not generalizing at all, but I think that sometimes filmmakers or other people in the entertainment industry tend to be very insular. They
Yeah.
tend to start feeling like they've reached a certain position where they can alienate others from their
Right.
inner circle or their immediate environment. Now, that's something I've never done. I've always engulfed my world with young voices, with people
Yeah.
who are contemporary, people whose minds are alert, active, who have opinions. I love opinions. Sometimes people get very afraid of opinions, but I just envelop them and I embrace them, and I like to listen to people all the time, be it criticism, be it points of view. So when you are tuned to your immediate environment, you actually find out what's really going on in the matters of the heart, in the matters of relationships, in the matters of dramas and storytelling. It's like, I just think there are stories all around us. I've always been very fascinated by human beings in general. And I think that I draw a lot from the people that I meet, the people that I surround myself with. And many characters in my film are actually prototypes of people that either I have met, encountered, or I've observed at a distance. They may be exaggerated because that's what my cinema is. It's an
Yeah.
exaggeration of reality. The environment, I remember reading your review of Edil, and you kept writing about, and I still remember because I laughed copiously and loudly because you kept going on about how there's so many rich people and everything is so rich in the film. And I took
First
a
world problems.
first world problems. But I also believe कि problems तो problems होते हैं. दिल सबका टूटता है. चाहे
हाँ,
वो अमीर इंसान का हो या जिसके पास ज्यादा कुछ नहीं हो.
हाँ,
दिल तो दिल होता है. It's a fragile part of our emotional ecosystem.
yeah.
So of course, when I was told by many people, yaar, why didn't you make the film more relatable? Why didn't you make this about a person who wasn't so entitled and privileged? It would have
Right.
seemed so much more connected. I drew that feedback and I thought about it and I said, yes, I don't know why I did what I did, because whatever I do, I never second guess my instinct.
Yeah.
But now, when I look back, I'm like, yeah, maybe the film would have connected much more if I didn't make my protagonist such an entitled individual. He came across like a kid who was screaming for a toy. Whereas he should have been an ashik, madly in love, just wanting and yearning for love. So I think I messed up by giving that film too much of a first world environment. When I look back, I'm like, yeah, maybe the film would have connected much more if it was more connective. It wasn't. It just seemed a bit alien to some. Though the story is universal because we all chase love. And sometimes you chase it much more than you should. And many a time, men do not understand the concept of platonic friendships. You know, they think, and in fact, there's a line where Anushka tells Ranveer, she says, "Tum mere sabse mere, you're my best friend, you're my everything, you're my life. Bas tum mere aashik nahi ho."
Right.
You know, and he says, "Kyun nahi hu main tumhara aashik?" You know, and she says, "But aashiki ne mujhe sirf tabahi di hai. Tum tabah hona chahte ho?" He says, "Haan, main tabah hona chahta hu." And it was like, it was such an impractical and such a lack of pragmatic approach to what he had. Like, he came across like a fusspot almost. But men are big fusspots, and you have to know that, you know. They don't, and it's about time that women make them understand that they should take no for an answer.
Right. But I've also read somewhere that some part of him was also you.
A big part of him was me. I've been through this whole Ek Tarfa situation for very many years. So for very many reasons, that film, I will always feel, is very, very, very personal to me. Because Ranveer projected me in many ways. There are scenes that have happened in my life. There are moments that I have actually been through. There is pain I have felt. And I felt when I wrote that story in all of 9 days, I just knew that narrative because I knew the character. I knew what it's like. And I remember that time feeling that I have a lot of power in this one-sided love. Because it's that love that no one can take away from me. It empowers me. It helps me grow. It strengthens me. It doesn't weaken me. We all sometimes feel that heartbreak weakens us. It actually strengthens us in many ways. And that's why I came up with that line that, you know, that one-sided love is the most, it's the best form of love because it's yours and yours alone and no one can grab it away from you. And I believe that when I wrote and directed that film, I went through a cathartic journey, and I even got over that love only because I could tell the story. So, but it'll always be my most special film because it's my most personal film.
Even Kank is quite personal, isn't it? In the sense that you saw a lot of things that you believed in sort of coming crashing down around you. So, and again, it was actually quite an intimate film, but it's just that the stars made it so big.
I tend to mess up sometimes by external factors, Kaveree. When I look back, I feel my intent is always in the right place. My execution sometimes is faulty. And that's always because I'm such a big cinema guy. You know, I'm such a cinema person that I tend to think very larger than life when sometimes some stories don't warrant that. They actually don't dictate a very large environment or large set piece songs or large set pieces in general. Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna was always a very intimate story of two married couples and the interrelationships between them. It didn't need Where's the Party Tonight and Rock and Roll Soniye and those massive sets and those big songs.
Yeah, but they're so iconic, no?
It's all great, of course they are. But when I look back, I'm like, that again, like I said about Adil, I made it seem alien to many. Similarly, I made a story of deep-rooted infidelity. Things that I believe very strongly in can surround us on a daily basis. I made it look a little unapproachable. Which is why there is always a polarization when it comes to these movies. There are polarized opinions. And I think that I could have killed that polarization by making films more identifiable visually.
But I want to bring you to the film that you're doing now. And something tells me there's this history nerd hidden somewhere deep inside this very showbiz guy. And to attempt a story of Aurangzeb and Dara Shikoh, it's the ultimate story of love, loyalty, betrayal. It's like your family saga, just
it's like I've said, it's K3G in the Mughal era.
Exactly.
It's actually all that. You know, it started off by me. So you are very right. I'm a full history nerd. I love history. And I'm obsessed with Mughal history as well. Because they were so colorful, so vibrant, so exotically crazy that they just caught my attention time and again. Their stories are just juicy. They're
Yeah.
just juicy. They have so much material embedded in
Yeah.
them. It started off with me making a story, and then I met Sumit Roy, who was
Yeah.
the screenplay writer of Takht, and he
Right.
said that there's a film in Dara, and he's
Right.
a footnote in history, but a
Yeah.
very, very critical and essential footnote that
Right.
may have changed the way we look at history itself, you know.
Yeah.
And then we found the dynamic of Dara Shikoh and Aurangzeb so exciting.
Yeah.
It was like, and almost the what if of the film really excites me.
Yeah.
What if Dara Shikoh had ruled and Aurangzeb
Absolutely.
did not?
Yeah.
I think that the history of the world as we know it would have been totally different.
Right.
And that's the what ifness is really something that really caught my attention. Also, it's a very relatable and identifiable story to all of us even today.
Yeah.
It's a tussle of two schools of ideology.
Exactly.
And that's what we all deal with on a daily basis today.
Yeah.
It's the classic clash of liberalism and fundamentalism.
Right.
And I think around them were amazing characters, Jahanara and Roshanara, the two sisters, Shah Jahan, the father.
Powerful women, and they were
Yes.
single women, you know.
Yes.
And
And
they
amazing
ran.
Jahanara, who Kareena who is depicting,
Yeah.
Roshanara depicted by Bhumi. They were very, very amazing characters in history.
Yeah.
You know, they really were. And even the character that Alia Bhatt was playing, and I keep saying was because we were meant to shoot it, and now we'll shoot it a little later, but we are definitely making the film.
Yeah.
All these women, all the women were so amazing.
Yeah.
And that a piece of me just collapsed when this virus hit us, because I was
Yeah.
so ready to be on that set, breathing that energy into Takht.
And it's also a very political film, Karan. And
Yes.
you know, you have always had issues with, you know, say, My Name is Khan, for instance. People will not let you be, whether you make a film about a good Muslim or a bad Muslim, as in a way Dara Shikoh and Aurangzeb are being portrayed currently. When you look at some of the revisionism that's going on, you see these people being portrayed as the typical good Muslim and the typical bad
Well,
Muslim. You see some
I
of that
understand.
happening?
I understand. See, the thing is that I never wrote this story. History
Right.
did.
Yeah.
You know,
Of
and I'm
course.
certainly not giving you my point of view. I'm telling you as it was.
Right.
Within that embedded, there is a very strong humanitarian message, which
Yeah.
I've always advocated and I live by. And that message was also embedded in My Name is Khan, where there are
Yeah.
two types of people. There are good
Yeah.
people and there are bad people.
Right.
There is no third type of person.
Right.
You know, now good people can come from any religion and bad
Right.
people can come from any religion. And even in Takht, there are no shades of black and white. There are lots of shades of gray, because I would never depict just Aurangzeb in a particular way. And not that I would humanize him, but I wouldn't dehumanize him either. I would just project it the way I saw it from the various pages of history I've read and the historians I've met, because everyone has a perspective. Everyone who may fumble and falter in life has a deep-rooted childhood trauma, a deep-rooted psyche that takes them in that direction.
Right.
All I was doing as a filmmaker was giving you the worldscape of those characters and leaving the interpretation of their good, bad, and ugly to you as an audience. I, as a filmmaker, was trying to stay away from opinion and judgment, because history cannot be judged. It has to be projected. You
Right.
can judge it, but that's a different film. And that was not Takht ever.
Right. But do you expect that it will be judged even before it is released, as in India most films like this are?
Well, I would hope not, because I think I would imagine that I haven't made the film, so I can't say it. I might be speaking too soon. But I would imagine that my handle on the material would be sensitive and would never be to sensationalize or to advocate any sensationalism. It would be to really be sensitive to the material and to the viewing audience. Also, as I said, I never wrote that material. History wrote it.
Right. Karan, let's bring you back to Bahubali. A lot of our viewers are from the South, and
Yes.
perhaps very few of them know that you saw Bahubali in its entire potential much before the rest of the world woke up to it. And you saw the national and even possibly the global possibilities of that film. So talk
So
a little about what attracted you to it.
there's one mega movie star in this industry, and there's one mega movie star that is part of Bahubali, and that is none other than Rajamouli. I'm a
Right.
huge fan of Rajamouli, sirs, and I have been tracking his films, watching it like an avid cinegoer and an avid fan. From his very first film, which is ironically called Student Number One,
Yeah.
right up to Ega, which was dubbed into Hindi as Makhi, I have seen his films. I've applauded them as a fan and as a filmmaker. And so when I knew he was making this ambitious film called Bahubali, and Rana Dagupati is a very dear friend of mine. And when
Right.
I heard about it, we all got into a room and decided that this film should be pan-India. It
Yeah.
cannot be just restricted to a film that is made as a regional film. And I think that was also their intention. They
Yeah.
always saw this as a global film,
Right.
not as a Telugu film or a film of a regional language. It was a global film. And the visuals were, and I said, the first thing I told them, I said, please position this as the largest motion picture made out of India, because there is complete truth in this statement. That's what it was. And
Yeah.
that became our initial marketing peg to woo the national audiences. And the rest, as you know, is history, because the film was so magnetic and majestic that it didn't need me. I just was probably a marginal stepping stone, because the film was a movement and anybody could have started that movement. I just was fortunate to be attached to it.
Are there things in the southern film industry that really attract you? Are there heroes, actors, actresses who you really look out for for their
I
work?
mean, hugely. There is such a gift in the cinema there. Be
Yeah.
it the content of Malayalam cinema, the unabashed mainstream nature of Telugu cinema, the
Right.
subtle nuanced storytelling of Tamil cinema, the silences of Kannada cinema. I mean, it's really filmmakers like Rajamouli and Vetrimaaran and Atlee
Yeah.
in the mainstream in Tamil, and a series of them. I can go on and on talking about the magic of Mohanlal and the absolute beauty of Kamal Hassan and Mammootty's genius and the younger kids that are doing such film. Even Dulquer Salman, such
Oh,
a
I love him.
fantastic
Isn't he
actor.
fabulous?
Vijay Devarkonda.
Yeah.
I mean, then Mahesh Babu and Allu Arjun, and the list goes on. Prabhas. They're just, and the women, like I saw a film the other day with Sai, this lead actress called Sai, and she's fantastic in
Right.
this film that I saw called Fida. I was
Right.
watching this film called Fida. It's a Telugu film, and I was just seeing. I said, "Oh my God, Samantha!" And there's a list of beautiful men and women, ladies and gentlemen, that are so talented. And I feel all of us pretend that we in Hindi cinema are doing a great job. But let me tell you, eventually the crossover is happening. The crossover is mainly when the South comes as a national viewed audience,
Right.
and the North is also viewed then, the South is viewed then, everything is viewed. That's the real crossover. Like I say that Bahubali is the first crossover story. We
Right.
always think that our films that go outside of India are
Yeah.
crossover successes.
Yeah.
But we need internal crossovers first.
Absolutely. And I think Bahubali was the first of it, as you said.
Yes.
But there have been others, like Mahanati did
Yes.
very well as well. That
Yes.
Kirti Suresh again is just such a fantastic actor.
Fantastic. Manati is such a great film.
Yeah. So is there something that you watched recently? You talked about Fida. Is there something else that you watched recently which really caught your eye and you thought, my God, this is fantastic?
I mean, I've seen a host of lot of films, but I have to tell you, Asuran that I saw that was directed by Vetrimaaran.
Right.
Oh my God, it just blew my mind. And Dhanush is just amazing. He's just spectacular. Dhanush he just exploded in that film. I saw it and I was at the edge of my seat. And in a very solid mainstream, fantastic way, I love Atlee. He just made a film called Bigel. In Tamil, that was a resounding blockbuster success.
Right.
And before that, he made Mercil, and before that, a film called Theri, and his very first film is called Raja Rani. And I've seen all four, and I love him. He is like he's the magician of masala. Like really, he gets it right. He gets it with poignancy, and he gets it with perfection.
So you're quite a fan of Southern cinema, correct?
Yes, tracking it all the time.
Is that just to look at the kind of stories they tell, the way they tell them, or is it also to draw inspiration in a way?
I almost feel like they're like the iPhone. They're always updating themselves. It's like, and I think that we need to learn from that update skill. Like, I
Right.
think that's a skill set they have. It's a fantastic skill. They're updating in technology, in narrative, in storytelling. And what's fascinating specifically about Telugu cinema is
Yeah.
that they never lose their basic grain of storytelling, which is to
Right.
woo an audience that has loved that cinema.
Right.
Their songs, the way they introduce their leading ladies and leading gentlemen, the way they shoot their action. It's just that masala has never left them, and they're not apologizing
They're
for
not
it.
apologetic.
And
Yeah.
they haven't succumbed to intellectual pressure, and I say that in the best possible way. Like, they're not
Yeah.
looking for like validation from Twitter or Facebook, or like they don't want to be the talked about, like, loved and applauded critics baby and critics darling. They want to make films that they believe in. Yes, there
Right.
is a certain, sometimes a level of misogyny that creeps into some of the narratives, but
Yeah.
that's true even of cinema that we make. So that's
That,
something that we all have to check ourselves for.
you talked about this intellectual pressure and wanting to be the critics' darling. So does that get you sometimes?
Yeah, I'm obsessed with wanting acclaim across the board. Like, so I read every review, Kaveri. I read every
Yes,
review.
I
And I
know.
laugh at some of the criticism. I get a little hurt at some of it. I think a lot of critics are also great stand-up comedians,
I agree
because
with you.
some of them write really well and they're
Yeah.
really funny. Even when they're poking a joke at you, I can laugh because I'm like, I can take a joke on myself, especially if I know that I have faltered. I'm happy to accept it.
Right.
It's when some get downright nasty, and you know that the attack is personal,
Yeah.
because of a certain perception they have of you. I can see through that as well. Like,
Right.
I have a lot of critics who are also dear friends who have not
Yeah.
liked various films that we produced. And I'm always okay with this, but I love reading, and I want to be a critic's darling. I always miss the boat somehow, because I think my reputation precedes me, and I never land up getting that applause that I feel sometimes I may deserve. And I feel aa bhi jata hai na to mar mar ke aata hai. I feel like it comes with a lot of like, दिल पे पत्थर रख के चलो कुछ अच्छा बोल दो, क्योंकि ये करण जौहर ने बना लिया है, बोलना पड़ेगा अभी. If it was, I always joke, मेरा नाम करण कश्यप होता तो क्या बात होती.